All right, Shalom Israel, Giovanni coming in. Wanted to come and talk about the last video I made concerning the Hebrew roots movements and the doctrines they come up with. And I've been having a lot of resistance, A lot of the so-called Israelites came out and left comments and gave their opinions, which is fine and good, fine by me. Hey, I guess today everybody's got an opinion, right? And everybody's got something to say. One thing for sure that I'm seeing and that I've noticed in the comments is that racism is very prevalent. It is alive and well. And it's a sad thing that I'm seeing in the people. It's so sad. And at the same time, I know what's going on. Believe you me, I have somewhat discernment, and I can see that the reaction of all these so-called black Hebrew Israelites and the hatred that they have in them is the results of years of oppression and segregation and the slavery inflicted on their fathers, on this people. I know that, all right? And so I don't take it personally. All the insults, the name-calling, me being called the white man, the devil, Edom, that's all right. I got broad shoulders, and hey, I'm speaking on behalf of the will of Yahweh, and I know that the promise in the Bible from Jesus is that I will be persecuted for preaching His truth, and so be it. I'm used to it. Now, I don't want anybody to be ignorant of the fact that I know who the people of the book are. I know who His chosen people is. Historically, according to the Bible, historically, just according in the secular world, it is undeniable. The black people are the original people of the book. And the Bible makes plenty of references to that, and also does history and modern history. It's you cannot deny that. And I understand that. For example, the curses in Deuteronomy 28, these black people, they fit the curses. When they were brought into slave ships back in the 1600s. So to all you so-called black Israelites out there, don't be ignorant of that fact. All right, I know about biblical history. Now, what I submit to you is that in the kingdom, in the renewed covenant, it is said that the Father seeks those that will worship Him in spirit and in truth, right? Not according to the flesh, not according to who your father was, what nation you come from. He seeks them who worships Him in spirit and in truth. So what I'm trying to say is that the color of your skin, when everything is said and done, as far as salvation comes and goes into Christ, in the Messiah, the color of your skin is going to be irrelevant. All right. Now, that being said, I'm not negating all the years of injustices, the slavery, the oppression that was made on these people, the blacks. I don't negate that. But at the same time, I am not responsible as an individual for what has happened to you and your people. Myself. Not at all. I'm actually for you, people. And I will actually embrace the house of Jacob. And I love Israel. In the past, hey, I've stood up for black people. I stood up for them in injustices, oppression by white people. Me, a white man, right? So-called white man. And I would even do it to my white brothers if they would be under oppression of black people, because I'm just a man of peace. I'm a child of the King, and I'm a man of truth. So, all this to say, hey, at the same time, I'm a really humble guy. You know, we have to understand that sometimes when you talk to people and when you want to make a message come across, hey, you got to use some unorthodox means, right? So just because sometimes I'll be rough around the edges, or talk a little loud, you know, when I lift up my voice as a trumpet, hey, it's your choice. You can either take an offense out of it, or you can take the truth that comes out of it, right? It's up to you. But don't make me your enemy because I tell you the truth, right? That would be a great disservice to your soul. Because at the end of the road, what really matters is for the people to get to the kingdom. And I think that's the important thing that we need to focus on. Now, I'm going to hit this one last time, and I'm done. I mean, I don't have time to, you know, beat around the bush and go back and forth with all this nonsense. The Bible is clear about how the Father accepts people in His covenant, and how people are grafted in, and how they are joined unto the nation of Israel. It's clear in the Old Testament about strangers. It's clear in the New Testament about Jesus' word. So I'm not really here, you know, to argue and talk to anybody that has already made up their mind, where their conscience is already seared with a hot iron. But I'm here to speak to anyone who will receive the truth. And I'm just planting seed. Hey, I'm not the one that watereth. So, as I mentioned, I am not the one responsible for the conditions that you are in. And my father's fathers, you know, in the flesh, right? Whatever they've done, the injustices, hey, Old Testament actually saying the law that the son will not be put to death for the sin of his father, and vice versa. So, all right. Now, the important thing that I want to put across there is, and what we seem to forget, and what seems to be flying under the radar, is that a lot of the conditions and a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in is a direct result of our past performances. It is a result of our sins, our transgressions, and our iniquities, right? For example, we're going to take the example of Israel back in the days. Israel were put into captivity in Egypt, right? We all know that. We're going to go, and I'm going to show you how, in a sense, we are responsible for our outcome that we actually put ourselves in by our actions. And we have to be reminded that Yahweh is in charge and in control of everything, right? He actually had a plan for the Israelites to be put in captivity, right? We're going to go in Acts 7, starting at verse 6, right? Look at this. It says, "And God spake on the wise," so that's the promise he made to Abraham, right? "That his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil for 400 years. Wow, right? So even before the Israelites were put into captivity, God had already planned that. So this is one thing we have to be reminded. "And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God. And after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place." So I'm going to ask you, all of these black Hebrew Israelites that's calling me Edom or Esau or whatever, right? Or me being part of another nation, even though I'm obeying the same commandments you are, I'm joined unto the same covenant. I call upon the name of Yahweh for deliverance in my afflictions, but yet you still make me as a heathen. That's strange. So I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to ask, what have I done to you personally? Now look at this. I'm going to show you a factor that brought the Israelites in captivity. And we have to be reminded that the black people have been in captivity in America since around the 1600s. Isn't that strange? Where we've just read that they were in captivity in Egypt for 400 years. Counting from 1600s. We're in the year 2018 right now. There could be something, a great exodus coming on for this people. The question is, are you ready? Now look at this. "And the patriarchs, they moved with envy and sold Joseph into Egypt, but God was with him," right? So look what happens. Israel sells, they become envious of the youngest, right? Joseph, because, hey, he had dreams and he had a special anointing from the Most High Yah on him, right? And they became envious of that. What did they do? They sold him into slavery. They got rid of him. And look at that. What happens? Few years down the road, they end up in Egypt, being in Egypt themselves. And they end up being slaves to the Egyptians, right? So with the same measure that you use against someone, the same measure will be used back to you, right? That's biblical principles also. I'm not speaking nothing new here. I'm not speaking according to my own. So, what if there would be an exodus? You got to be reminded, and you got to stay in the humility that a lot of people died in this exodus, in the wilderness. Some of them murmured, some of them complained, some of them rose up. So it would be an important thing to keep your heart pure and your mind pure and humble. All right. See, that's interesting also. In Exodus 12:40, same thing. "Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Now I don't think this is written for no reason. I think there's a purpose, and there might be a very prophetic meaning in this 400 years, right? And it came to pass at the end of 400 years and 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Wow. So the thing is, you have to be reminded that there are some new people that have been grafted in according to the analogy of Israel. And you'll have to accept that, whether you like it or not. And the question is, are you going to be jealous of the newest addition to the family, right? Like Israel was jealous of Joseph, the youngest. I'm telling y'all, you gotta pay attention to this kind of stuff. Because Most High Yah is not having this again. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. We're going to go on with Hebrew 11:21. So it says, by faith Jacob, when he was dying, look at this, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. Right? So what is it saying here? Joseph, while being in Egypt, in another nation, a wife was given to him, an Egyptian woman. And from this woman came 2 children, right? Children that came from another nation. And Jacob blessed these 2. Why? Because of the promise. So you really have to recognize Israel, not in the flesh, but in the spirit. I hope you all take heed. Have a blessed day.